It was springtime on the island of Soder. As the frost melted away, work began to ensure the railway was safe. The wet weather had loosened the soil, and trees threatened to fall onto the track. Toby and Terence were hard at work, pulling the trees clear of the line side and loading them onto flatbeds for Henry to take to the sawmill. One day, Butch the breakdown truck was sent to help them, and he was none too pleased about it. "Why am I here? This is a job for Trevor," he moaned. "We already told you," grumbled Toby. "Trevor is ill." "Cheer up, Butch," smiled Terence. "Your strength will help us finish the job in no time." "My strength should be put to use rescuing other vehicles, like I'm meant to do." Butch sulked. Terence and Toby decided it best to ignore him. Terence was right, but strength meant it didn't take long to pull the trees clear and load them onto the flatbeds. "Timber!" shouted the foreman as another tree came crashing down. "Come on," urged Butch. "Load it on the flatbed and let's get onto the next one." For Henry was feeling rushed off his wheels. "It's not a race," he grumbled to Butch. "Besides, I don't have any space left on these flatbeds. Maybe if you slow down, we'll be able to keep pace better." Henry snorted slowly away. "He's right, Butch," said Terence. "You'd best slow down. Don't want any trees falling on you, now do we?" Said Butch. "I could get out of the way before a tree even came close to me, unlike you." Before Terence could reply, the foreman walked over. "Butch, an order of new equipment has arrived at the yards. Will you fetch it for us?" "Gladly, sir," replied Butch. He was relieved to get away from Terence and the trees for a while. Soon, Butch had collected the equipment and was headed back to the worksite. On his way, he came across George pulling a car from a ditch. Glad one of us is doing real work today," he smirked. Butch was cross. It was his job to rescue other vehicles. He sulked all the way back to the sidings. Henry had left his empty flatbeds in the siding and gone for a drink. The line was level, so the shutter hadn't bothered to fasten the wagon brakes. Butch came running up to the sidings and wasn't being careful at all. He swung round and reversed too fast and too hard. He bashed the flatbeds and sent them flying. "Oh no!" he cried. The flatbeds picked up speed and drew nearer to the buffers. Terence was chugging along through the trees when he heard a rattling sound. "What's that?" he wondered. All at once, the flatbeds burst through the buffers and crashed into a large tree. The tree groaned as it toppled over, right into Terence. "Oh," cried Terence in pain. His caterpillars dug into the earth, but it was no use. He was trapped. Butch squealed up, horrified. He quickly swung chains around the tree and pulled with all his might. Come on," he strained. It was no good. He wasn't strong enough to move the tree. Suddenly, they heard a wonderful sound. Toby and Henry came rushing down the sidings. "Don't worry, Terence. We're here," they called. Butch's chains were attached to Henry's front end. Puffing hard, the two engines were at last able to free Terence. "Phew, huffed Terence, thanks you two. That feels much better." Terence had been badly damaged by the tree and was soon loaded onto a truck to get examined. Butch felt awful. "I'm sorry, Terence," he said shamefully. "I shouldn't have been so careless. I guess I'm not as strong as I thought." Terence smiled. "You're strong, all right. Much stronger than this old tractor. Next time, be sure the trees go on the flatbeds, not on me." While Terence was away, Butch worked hard with Toby and Henry. He was careful as he went about, pulling trees clear and loading them onto the flatbeds. "Well done, Butch," smiled Toby. "We might even finish ahead of schedule." And they did too, just in time for Terence to come back. "I know I said you were strong," he smiled, "but you could have left some work for me to come back to." Butch could only laugh. He still prefers his rescue duties, but he never passes up a chance to work with his new friend Terence.